So,
The light, huh?
park. In the night park.
Exactly. You're just like, what's going on with you guys?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Protein. Casa the protein. Yo, yo, yo. What's happening?
Thanks.
Yeah, good. Very good. Loads of stuff happening at Movement. Loads of stuff happening in general. I just can't tell it. I can't tell everyone what it is yet. It's a bit of a secret.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but we should have some exciting news in the next couple of weeks. There you go. We're just locking it down, but it's exciting.
You look happy now.
Keep it in suspense. Yeah. Let's get some more people in. I think we've got about 20 people in today. So one of the things I wanted to chat about today, apart from the general questions, was maintenance calories and even like maintenance protein as well. Because I got to a point on my 28-day challenge where I was like, cool, I built enough muscle, my strength is back up, and I wasn't enjoying the high volumes of food. So I've gone back down to maintenance, and that's what people are potentially going to do at the end of the challenge. So we'll take a look at maintenance stuff like that. So cool. You're also live on YouTube right now, just a little FYI.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that actually records directly to YouTube, so we can put it on to the member site afterwards.
Okay, perfect.
So don't worry. You're not...
Movement channel as well.
There's a movement channel, yeah, so it's all up there. So seeing a lot of the workouts are getting a lot of views as well, which is awesome. Welcome to everyone who's joined in on the call. Obviously, me and Bridget just having a chat to ourselves, but I hope you guys are getting some good information. Actually, so food aside, how have your workouts been going? You've been looking like you've been doing what, a couple of workouts every week as well?
Well, yeah. So we got our hands on another barbell from the gym. So now we can do workouts together. So we have, and then we got a rack. Did you see our rack?
I did see the rack, yeah.
Brent ordered this rack online, but it's pretty dodge. It like sways as you like weight on it. So you have to kind of lift with someone else. But I've never been so happy to be able to squat again, like properly.
Yeah. I know. I've only got kettlebells and dumbbells in the house, so we have our little setup over here.
Yeah, but you've got a load of kettlebells and dumbbells. There you go. We've got none.
Yeah, I've got a good few, but they're not that heavy. So I'm just trying to make myself sound cool, like I lift really heavy.
You can just lift 3 at once.
Exactly. But I do potentially have a shipment of kettlebells, dumbbells, plates, and racks and barbells coming from an Australian supplier to resell in Ireland. So there you go. So
keep me updated. I'd love to buy a dumbbell. They are
so the supplies have actually already been pre-ordered for the Australian marketplace, but they can be delivered in 3 to 4 weeks or 5 to 6 weeks, just depending on medical supply shipments that are coming in from Ireland. So there you go. Alrighty, I think we've got about 21 people in here now, so we'll kick off in just a sec. So there's going to be a couple of people who are on different weeks in the challenge, so I'll just do a quick recap of what everyone is supposed to be doing, and then we'll sort of chat through some maintenance calorie stuff, and then what people should do at the end of week 4. So if you're on week 1, your goal is to calculate your calories, and then to try and hit your weekly calorie goal. So figure out your daily calorie goal as per the videos, multiply it by 7. That's your weekly calorie goal. That's people in week 1. People in week 2, Project Protein. You're going to switch on MyFitnessPal your protein goal to 40%. You're going to try and get as high as possible for that week towards that 40%. And you're going to hit your daily protein goal, weekly calories. Week 3 is the protein review. So anyone who's on week 3, you guys review your protein. You see what your average was for the week before. You reset that on MyFitnessPal, and that's all about sort of sustainable eating. Week number 4 is the same as week number 3 for those in the 28-day challenge. You've got your daily protein goals, you've got your weekly calorie goals, and your sort of like 3, 4, or 5, classes depending on your level of fitness, etc. But at the end of the 28-day challenge, what you want to do is you almost want to go back to the very start, and you want to set a new goal. So how I would tend, now I've already done this. Okay, I kind of did my 3 weeks of the challenge. And then on week 4, I've reset my goals because I'm not trying to burn loads of body fat. I've built enough muscle where I'm happy with it. Like, I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. So I'm back down to maintenance calories. So maintenance calories for me is about 2,200 to 2,400 per day. So Bridget, I'll sort of hand it over to you on this. How do you sort of go about figuring out your maintenance calories? What's your process outside of what we have in the videos? How would you normally figure it out?
Yeah. So outside of the calorie calculator, I generally follow quite a rough formula of increasing my calories by 20 to 30% of my deficit calories. So some people aren't comfortable with jumping back to this kind of percentage this much. This can be anything between 200 to 500 calories, as they just are so in the habit. It depends how long the deficit was, right? So this deficit was only about 4 weeks, so it's not huge. But say if you've been in like a 12-week deficit or something, it can be quite extreme to jump up that quickly. So for those people, I would just suggest going up by 10 to 20% and then keep going up. And then you should be at about maintenance level around 2 to 3 weeks. There isn't a ton of support to suggest that moving up slowly helps you get to a maintenance level, or helps you kind of not gain weight drastically when you go up to a maintenance level. So you can go up to a maintenance level within 2 to 3 weeks. I know some people think you should go up really, really slowly and increase your calories by like 50 calories per week. That isn't really necessary. You should be back up there in a few weeks, because essentially if you have it too slow, that kind of progression, you will essentially still be in a deficit. You'll think you're going straight up to maintenance, but essentially you're still expending energy. You're probably doing a lot more workouts because now you're in the habit of doing workouts through the challenge. So you actually are going up so little that you're extending your deficit rather than getting to a maintenance quite efficiently. So that would be my best advice. It isn't a massive formula. It's literally just adding on to your calories by 200 to 500. If you're quite a big guy, you're quite muscular, you go to the gym quite often, then you'd be on the higher end of that. If you're quite a slight woman, you don't strength train as much, you'd be on the lower end of that. Or else you can, but the calorie calculator kind of does the same percentages. I think it's around 20% maybe that it brings you back up to. So that is how I'd go back up. And then the opposite, I suppose, for surplus. You just essentially just bring yourself back down. And then if you want to do, so say if you're going up to a maintenance and then you want to start muscle gaining, you should stay at that maintenance level for about 2 to 3 weeks before you slowly transition into the surplus, which you essentially need to be in to muscle gain. Because maintenance is purely exactly how it sounds. It's maintaining your weight, it's maintaining your muscle, it's maintaining your body fat levels. So no matter how much training you're doing or anything, you're not going to increase muscle or increase weight as such at a maintenance level. But if you want to do what you did, where you went into a muscle gain phase, you'll have to get your calories back up into a surplus.
Okay, perfect. So I think, as Bridget pointed out, you can either add the calories on manually to what you're doing at the moment, or you can go back to week 1 of the program and actually look at the calorie calculator. So the way personally I kind of like figure out how or where I want to go in a surplus or a deficit is based on my goal. So again, if it's muscle gain, it's that surplus. Now, I did muscle gain for the last 4 weeks because everyone else was doing the challenge just to do it. And this is how I measure it now. I look at my pictures, I can see I've actually stacked on quite a lot of muscle. Quite a few people have said it to me as well, you're looking bigger. But the way I tend to figure out what's going on is down here, okay? So there wasn't any fat there. I know there's fucking none here now anyway, but basically I put on a bit of fat here. This is the first place I put on fat on my body. And once I get to a certain level of fat like it is now, I'm happy. When I can't see the bottom part of my six-pack, that usually means I'm at my healthiest, happiest, and most, comfortable. like, so I will actually have body fat on, and I know like, yeah, that's the perfect weight that I want to be. So one of the things we don't want to do is to have people in a deficit like all year round, and they're like, oh, cool, I can see my abs all year round. It's not super healthy, especially like I've seen a lot of my female clients over the years who have just gone into a deficit for the whole year. And it's actually started to mess with like their cycle and shit like that, and they've lost their period and stuff. And that's not good. So the pictures kind of show you where you are. If you're looking at your pictures, if you're taking them once a week or once every 2 weeks on the app, and you're like, oh, hang on, I've stacked on a little bit more than I'm happy with. Cool, I'm going to go back into a little bit of deficit for a couple of weeks, and then it's fine. But you don't want to be obsessed about it. And we want everyone to get to the point as well where they don't need to track their calories all the time, because you've done it for 4 weeks now. You should know what foods you like, roughly how many calories are in there, how to hit your protein goals. So that is one of the things we'd suggest. So maintenance level, you don't necessarily need to be strict. We want you to all to understand your body, know where it is. And if you think, yeah, I've stacked on a little bit more, you now know what to do. Yeah, cool, I'm going to do my 3 or 4 classes a week and we go into a little bit deficit. So it should be easier. It should take the mental strain off you and stuff like that. In terms of protein, when you go back to maintenance, just if you use you as a perfect example, what protein levels would you use when you're training 3 to 4 times a week, as opposed to the 40% goal that we give people on the challenge?
Myself?
Yeah, as an approximate, like.
Anywhere between 30 and 40. So I'm not super strict with it. To be honest, like when I was tracking, I was, but I tend to I just gauge my protein kind of per meal, and it always seems to be at high-ish level per meal. And then at the end of the day, I'm just like, oh, I got quite a decent amount of protein today. I'm not like overthinking it so much where I'm just like, oh my God, this meal isn't high in protein, you know, so my muscle's going to be affected, my workout's going to be affected, you know, it's screwed up for the whole day, you know. So I will be at that general, I do have quite a high protein diet, so I probably am closer to the 40%. But if I'm anywhere between 30 and 40, I'm happy. And I'm happy for maintaining muscle and performance and just general health goals. You know, but high protein diet is really good for that. I think people think it's just for fat loss and muscle gain, but you know, there's so many other health benefits. So like your granny should be eating a highish protein diet, you know. So I think that kind of range for me is fine. You know, even going down to 25% is still good, you know, because you're still keeping an eye on your protein intake and you're still not necessarily that low. But yeah, no, if you just want to maintain your weight, I would see what you're at now, see what kind of your average intake is. If you're still struggling with that average intake, I would suggest remeasuring the average from the week that's just gone again. So say if you literally just struggled that past week, remeasure that again, then you know for sure that you can hit that, you know, because maybe you just had a really high protein week. So when you, during your 40%, so then when you found your average, it was still quite high, you know, because that's what I've noticed in a few people's food diaries. They're still not quite hitting their average percentage, whereas that should be super sustainable. So I would just suggest going back again and just finding something that's sustainable and something that's not going to wear you out from monitoring it all day long, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think you've kind of said where I'm at. Like most of the time I'm at about 25% protein, just because I can't be fucked. I'm allowed to swear. That's my thing. I just like, you know, I'll have my shakes, try and get it in, but it's just like, I have a life to live. I have work to do. I have clients to help. You know what I mean? We've got stuff to do at movement. So getting that in isn't there, but I'm not aiming for performance. I'm generally happy with my body shape. I don't have like, you know, body confidence issues. So I'm hitting around the 25. However, it does affect my performance. Like I perform a lot better down at a movement class or lifting weights when my protein diet is higher. I look a lot leaner when protein in my diet is higher. So sometimes I'll switch it up. So one of the tricks that I do, I just call it like the lean and green trick. It's like, it's not a thing. I've made that up. Shit, maybe I should copyright that. So like, let's say I've stacked on a bit of body fat. I will just go for like lean protein. So like fish, meat, and then greens. I just eat green vegetables. If I do that for 2 weeks, that kind of gets me in shape. So like, if you look at it from a hack perspective, it's usually high protein, high fat, low carbs. You know, not that there's anything against carbs, but it just leans me out. I do reduce my muscle size, look smaller, but I look leaner. So like as a little hack, that works as well. So a question here from Matt, it's very hard to get protein from regular food, 40%. Yeah, how would you suggest getting just from whole foods, 40% protein in your diet? What are your top tips for getting that from whole foods, Bridget?
Sorry, the dog is distracting me.
That's all right.
So I personally feel like whey protein powder or any sort of protein powder is not something that is 100% necessary in a diet. And I hate when people feel like it is, because it's, at the end of the day, there are so many lean protein sources out there, or sources high in protein, that maybe you just haven't kind of sought out because you've been limited to what you think is generically high protein, like chicken, eggs, turkey. Start looking at plant-based options like tofu, tempeh, soy, all that kind of stuff. Yogurt. I say yogurt instead of yogurt. Everyone makes fun of me for saying that, but all that kind of stuff is just like it. I personally feel like when people say they can't get it from regular food, they just haven't really found all the options out there, or they haven't kind of mixed and matched. So like if I have 2 eggs in a meal, right, that's only 12 grams. So I'm like, that's not really enough protein for a meal. So I'll just be like, what else can I add in here? Like a slice of cheese, that's a bit more protein. I could have a glass of milk beside it, that's some more protein, or a bowl of cereal. Your meals don't have to be textbook lovely, like they've just come out of a recipe book. You can literally mix and match things together. Like I find just like having a high fiber cereal with a glass of protein milk beside it, a banana, some yogurt in there, all of that can add up to a high protein meal. So I personally think protein powder should be used as like a convenience thing, like yourself. You have a shake, in between when you've just finished a workout, and when you're about to, in between that, when you haven't quite made dinner yet, or you haven't quite made lunch yet, it's great to kind of get the protein into your system straight away. But the likes of, like Connor's options there are all perfect. All those are great. Jerky is
Have a look in the chat box.
Jerky is a brilliant high protein option if you kind of want just a snack. But definitely if you by regular food, if you mean whole foods that aren't protein powder, it is possible. It's just, it can be quite difficult if you're not used to it. It takes some getting used to. But don't be afraid of protein powder either. Sorry, I have to let the dog go.
That's all right. So yeah, great suggestions there from Connor, like the tuna, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, biltong jerky, low-fat milk, all super high protein sources. But to Matt's point about the calories as well, like some of the whole food proteins are going to have higher calories. And that's kind of what your 28-day challenge is designed to do, or a 6-week challenge, is identify the foods that you like, that you're going to include in your diet, that are going to have those protein sources. So what I would suggest then is, if you haven't found them just yet, maybe you want to take a couple of weeks off, but then you can start back from the start on the challenge, and then check some new foods. That's a really, really good way to do it. Kelly had a question about, Kelly likes treats, as we can see from her Instagram, and she was asking about homemade protein bowls for someone who likes treats. What are your thoughts on like protein bowls, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, I mean, the main issue with protein balls is that the ingredients that make them up can be quite high fat. So therefore they can actually, high fat is not a bad thing, by the way. It's just, it can equate to more calories. So say it's quite deceiving. So you'll have a tiny little protein ball, and it could be up to 250, 300 calories, because there's a load of peanut butter in there, loads of dates in there, stuff like that. And you could be like, oh shit, I don't actually feel that satisfied after that little ball, I could do with something slightly more satiating. So that is my only issue with them. Other than that, I think they're great. I actually make them myself all the time. You can make quite low cal versions just with protein powder, bit of milk, bit of peanut butter, some nuts, it's not, I think they are good. They are a good source of up in protein if you really like treats. Not against them in the slightest. I'd just be more inclined to make them myself.
Yeah, cool. Let me just put someone on mute there. So one of the things that I've seen in food diaries over the years, especially in the last few years, is people opting for what they consider healthy treats as opposed to just like a Snickers bar or something like that. Okay. And then if you actually look at the calories on, you know, like Sarah's Healthy Bites or, you know, whatever it is, the calories are so high. I'd rather have the Snickers bar, which I think tastes better. You know, and just treat myself to that. So just be mindful of that. So Dana was saying here, oh yeah, sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I just as you were saying there, like, you know, some people go to the supermarket and they'd see something that's marketed as like low sugar, high protein treat or whatever, and they'll buy into it. And then the calories are massive. Whereas like I just went and bought a box of Jaffa cakes from Aldi the other day. 47 calories per Jaffa cake, grand, two or three of those, and they're way more satisfying than, you know, whatever you're being marketed with that's healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely get your point there with the whole Snickers bar thing.
Yeah, so check the stats. Dana was saying, not sure she'd enjoy snacking on a can of tuna at 4 p.m. So that's fair enough. So what I would suggest is jazz it up a little bit. Like, do you know what I mean? If you like chop up like a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of onion, and chuck a tuna on top, you got a nice like mixed salad. That's going to jazz it up a little bit, you know, or stick it on a rice cake or cracker. So you got to get creative. And if you want to get creative, guys, I don't know if you've logged into Shape My Plan yet, but the two girls who were on last week who designed Shape My Plan literally have so many recipes, and they have all of the calories, all of the macros in there as well. So if you're looking for inspiration, I'm not the guy to give you inspiration because I eat the same thing all of the time. I'm boring. But on Shape My Plan and the cookbook that's on the members' website, and Bridget's Instagram as well, obviously, of course, there's some good inspiration. But how come all of your meals look like they come straight from a cookbook, Bridget? Why can't we all be cooks like you?
I went to art college, so I'm super obsessively creative. So when I make a recipe, I'm like, I just want it to look stunning. But yeah, no, I'm going to be adding, so I make recipe packs, and I do the nutrient breakdowns on them and stuff. I'm going to be adding all those to my website soon. That's going to be accessible to everyone. So if people need the exact breakdowns of my meals that I put on my Instagram, they'll be on my website. So yeah, like there's inspiration absolutely everywhere. You know, there's so many Irish influencers as well on Instagram, you know, now that make really easy treat recipes and stuff as well. So
do you want to pop your website in the chat box so everyone can click on it if you want to do that?
I mean, they're not on there right now, but yeah, sure. For when
they will be in the future. Exactly. So yeah, for most people, you need to find what you're comfortable with in terms of eating. That's the whole reason we do like the 4-week and the 6-week challenge is you actually analyze your food, find what you're comfortable with, and then work with something that's sustainable. And we pointed out beforehand, it's good to try and get a bit of protein in with every meal because then you'll actually get your higher protein levels up all the time. I'm definitely guilty of not doing that unless I'm training for performance. Like for me, and this is kind of where I hope most people get, like I just want to go and lift some weights, do a HIIT class, do a boxing class, do 3 or 4 a week, enjoy my food, and like get to a healthy point where like, you know, like I was significantly overweight before when I was in my like late 20s, and just get to the point where I'm never like that again, but I'm just consistent. And like I will personally go up and down in terms of body fat. I'm like a wave. Okay, and I kind of think everyone should be because like Christmas time, your fucking holidays, your birthday, all that sort of shit, like you want to enjoy that stuff, but mentally know that, okay, cool, I'm back now, I'm going to get back on track. It's not sustainable to try and like be lean all year round. It's not healthy for your mind, you know, and it's not unhealthy to have body fat as well, as long as it's in, you know, a safe level. So that's kind of where we want everyone to get.
Just on that note, Ronan, sorry, just to point out for those who are moving up to maintenance level, you will generally gain about 2 to 5 pounds when you move up to maintenance level. So don't be shocked if you feel slightly fluffier or if you're not as lean as you were on a deficit. The reality is you're increasing your calories. More calories means more food. Food weighs, like food is weight. And then the increase in food also makes your muscles pull water into the tissue. So your muscles are holding more weight. So the food combined with the water is essentially water weight, and that's all it is. Like it's not fat. You know, it's predominantly just food and weight. So I think when people go to maintenance level and they're just like, oh, I'm looking so fluffy again, I have to cut immediately again. don't make that mistake, because otherwise you'll just be cutting constantly, going up to maintenance and never finding kind of a happy point that you're happy with. So just kind of accept that say if you've done this now and you're suddenly like seeing abs or seeing loads of definition, you're like happy out, I want to stay this way forever. Don't, you'll put your body under so much stress, your metabolism will slow down, your whole body will start to kind of shut down. So it's only really intense athletes or people who are preparing for body weight powerlifting competitions or whatever they do, like muscle building or whatever, who need to actually be that strict with their diet. You should be at the point of maintenance where if a birthday party arises or alcohol arises in some shape or form, that you're happy out to go with it and not feel guilty, and just get back to kind of your weight over the next few days.
Yeah. I think so. There's one from Diana here. So a bit off topic. Well, no, I think it is actually quite on topic. In terms of energy, I'm struggling with having energy to train for the past couple of weeks. And I suppose it's due to very low iron level issues. I've had all this isolation thing as well. Are there any specific nutrients we should be looking to get into our diets in these kind of situations?
So I touched on this briefly last week. In terms of nutrients, if you have a balanced, well-rounded diet that's full of good macros, full of a lot of micros are vitamins and minerals that are found in fruit and veg. There you go. You shouldn't really need to kind of supplement with extra stuff unless you physically know that there's something you don't get in your diet, like fish or red meat. The likes of, if your iron are low, do you eat red meat? How often do you eat red meat? Do you eat greens such as spinach? They're super high in iron. But in terms of specific nutrients for energy levels, you'll see so much crap on social media over the last few weeks about certain things that you should be eating or not eating during isolation in order to make you feel less fatigued or to make you feel like happy or whatever. The only real things that you should be looking out for are stuff that you're physically deficient in because of your diet, or the likes of vitamin D, which we touched on last week, which we're not really struggling with these days, because if you get out there for 20 minutes a day, that's enough vitamin D for the day, essentially. So yeah, I wouldn't look into that too much. If you're struggling with fatigue, you may need to actually just look at your diet and look at how many nutrients you're actually getting in, and how much whether you're overtraining at all or whether you're even undertraining, because that can actually make you feel a bit fatigued, surprisingly. Also, are you refueling after workout? So are you eating enough carbs after a workout? Are you getting sufficient protein in? So many things contribute towards fatigue. Is it is it a specific time of the month? The list is endless, to be honest. So I wouldn't look too much into nutrients and supplementation around this time.
If I was going specifically to Diana's question, I would say, one, not giving yourself enough recovery time, because you did quite a lot of classes in the first 2 weeks, more than most based on your bookings. And two, your food diary was, the consumption of food was quite low as well. The reason I held this up was because I was feeling a bit sick last week, so I wasn't eating as much food as normal. So I just threw a couple of multivitamins in just to supplement, because I wasn't feeling that great. But Diana, I reckon for your personal situation, it's maybe you just need to reduce down the classes a little bit. And just make sure you're getting enough food and food directly after the workouts. June has a question here. So in relation to protein goal of 40%, I know you said that carbs and fats can be juggled around, but it is an issue if, e.g., the carbs are 45%, i.e. higher than the protein, and the fats are 15%, or vice versa. So ratios with macros, apart from protein, what are your thoughts on that, Bridget?
I am very loose with macro ratios other than protein, and I think that's how it should be, and I think we're quite in sync with that, because the likes of I know you follow him because you reposted something he put up recently, Martin from Mac Nutrition. He puts up some very kind of no bullshit posts about things like high carb diets, low carb diets, whether that can affect your goals, blah blah blah. And basically the reality of it is it doesn't matter what your macro ratio is if your goal is fat loss, because the deficit is quite literally the only thing that counts. So as we have said at the very beginning, a high protein diet can do many things to expedite fat loss and to retain muscle and blah, blah, blah. But if you have a high carb diet and you are tolerant to it, you know, that's absolutely fine, you know. But much like if you have a high fat diet, it's like how I don't agree with keto or whatever it's called, but if you decide to go down that route, that's not going to, if you're in a deficit, you'll still lose fat. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, the reason I don't like keto is because people have such a high fat diet that they actually don't have nutrients from carbs or protein or anything else. They're just so focused on having that high fat. But the likes of, you know, carbs being 45%, fats being 15%, that's absolutely fine. Like, don't read into those two ratios too much. The only thing I would suggest is, if you are worried about your carbs maybe being a bit on the high side, is just have your carbiest meal after a workout. You know, like, you'll be most tolerant to them then, and they'll be absorbed into you much quicker and much more efficiently, and they'll go to the right place. So have them after a workout, and then keep your other two meals maybe not like low carb or no carb, but just kind of on the lower end of carbs. And then fat, you know, so long as fat isn't over 30%, then you're fine. 38%.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's a really interesting question, because when I started out as a personal trainer, the gym I worked in was purely focused on macronutrients. And we used to give everyone a specific split. So X amount of protein, X amount of carbs, X amount of fats. It was, I would say, 5% of the clients I worked with were actually able to sustain that diet for more than 2 weeks before they fell off the bandwagon. The only diet that I've seen, and again, it's not really a diet, it's a strategy that people have been able to sustain long term and use over and over to achieve the results they want, is increasing protein to a high level and a weekly calorie goal. That is literally the only one that I've seen people be able to sustain. And then, like, this isn't yo-yo dieting, but you will notice your body shape goes like that, a little bit up and down. It's not yo-yo dieting. I've found with like something like keto, for example, you can get a bit of a yo-yo, because people will get amazing results really quickly. And then they'll try and have a normal diet again, and they put on a load of water weight because they're introducing carbs back in, and they fluctuate. That's more like a yo-yo diet. We want sustainable eating here as well, and that's absolutely key. So question from Matt here as well: protein powder before or after exercise? What's your thought on that, Bridget?
You can do both. So the thing with protein and carbs as well is that having them before and after is actually really, really beneficial. But it depends, but the amount of protein that you have before and after will depend a lot on what you're doing. I think but it really depends on if you're actually in any way a serious strength athlete or a CrossFit athlete, say. So if you've done, you know, quite an intense strength session, you should be refueling with protein kind of quite quickly after that strength session to keep to retain that muscle mass and to keep it fueled. Whereas if you've done a cardio session, you should be prioritizing refueling with carbs, and you can take a bit longer after that session to refuel with carbs. So you can take up to 2 hours before you eat that meal. But having protein powder before exercise is also absolutely perfect, because it's still being absorbed, you know, into your system. It's not like having it before means that it'll be gone by the time you finish, you know, like it's still being absorbed in both ways. I think protein powder after exercise is slightly more beneficial if you are particularly doing quite a high strength workout. But sometimes if I'm really hungry and I'm about to do a workout and I know my dinner isn't going to be 3 hours, I'll just have a protein shake before I do my workout, in order to kind of get me through. And then other times, if I know I'm not going to eat for ages after my workout, I'll have some protein after my workout, you know. But it's not a huge, I mean, both is quite beneficial. But if you want something kind of like maybe an hour before your workout, have some protein. If you want something quite quickly after your workout, have some protein. It's beneficial for both, really.
Yeah, and I like that you've contextualized that there as well. Like you said, you know, if you're training for strength or you're a CrossFit athlete, you know, where you're at athlete levels, you need to fuel your body different than the rest of us, you know, the people in the public who are on the call now as well. So if you're taking your performance to the next level from a strength position like CrossFit, or you're competing in something else, we need to look at how you fuel your bodies differently, and those are more like contextual questions that you can DM to, you know, myself or Mark or Bridget in the Food Diaries. We'll be able to give you a more answer. For everyone else, like for me, like I love performing, I love lifting weights, I love being in all right shape, you know, most of the year. I don't need to be super lean or anything like that. I feel my body pretty much the same way you guys are doing it. Could I be better? Yeah, 100%. Do I care that much? No, I just want to do my 3 or 4 classes a week. Just beat Mark a couple of times in those classes, you know, so because I got my competitive edge. But that's it, you know, that's it. That's all you need. So we don't want you to stress. But if you have very specific contextual questions about nutrition and your performance, hit us up directly because we'll be able to give you more specific advice. Cool. So that is all the questions that are in there for now. I think we've covered a bit on maintenance. We'll be sending checkouts later today and on Friday as well. So anyone who's got specific questions, hit me up. Food Diaries update today. I think you've already started doing the reviews and stuff like that, Bridget, which is cool. So make sure we got it in there. But any specific questions, bang us over a DM so we can be like real contextual in how you guys need to fuel your bodies going forward. What we might do as well, for anyone who wants, just send us a direct message. We can keep reviewing your Food Diaries for the next 2 weeks until we're back outside in the parks and tennis courts. We're going to continue some online classes as well because we know now everyone's in Dublin going forward. But yeah, if you want, we'll be hitting you up on Friday, and I'll be asking if anyone wants to keep their Food Diaries reviewed for the next 2 weeks, so you can kind of stay on the challenge, make it a 6-week challenge if you want, and we'll let us know. A bit of a Jerry Springer. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom to leave us with for today, Bridget?
No, just well done, everyone. I've seen the Food Diaries like go from a crazy level to so not like strict, but it's actually amazing how they've kind of reversed. So some people started being really strict and they've gradually become less strict, but still kind of kept their deficit. And then other people started kind of on a crazy surplus every single day, and now they're, you know, keeping their deficit and balancing out their days and kind of going towards that weekly goal instead of that daily goal so efficiently. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, it's been amazing to kind of see how everyone's progress. It's been so nice. I feel like I've got to know everyone just from looking at everyone's Food Diaries. So yeah, it's been lovely.
The digital world, we understand you through your Food Diaries. And yeah, so everyone is making those great like little incremental steps, and that's what it's all about. So that's absolutely awesome. So well done to everyone. A couple of check-ins today. We'll do check-ins Friday as well. DM us with any specific questions you have. Keep rocking it out in the challenge. And we're looking forward to get everyone back together and outside in the next couple of weeks. Obviously safe and with social distancing as well, but we'll keep you posted on that. All the new news that will be coming to Movement very soon. Thanks very much for jumping in on that today, Bridget. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone who joined today. Well done. Video is recorded this time and will be up live on the members website later today. Pilates class tonight at 6 o'clock as well. If anyone wants to join in, all right? Well done, team. We'll chat to you again soon. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.